You're listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein. With me, as always,
Josh Schaefer, The Last Stand.
I'm surprised you didn't try out with a mutant name for yourself.
I was trying to, and I was going to say something real weird, like Quick Shot or something. I don't know.
Is that what the ladies call you?
No. No shot.
Yes. And also,
Queen Bee.
What is your superpower, Queen Bee?
I don't know. The power to not answer pop quiz questions.
So today we are talking about the X-Men, specifically the Fox movies, because I can't read the comics. I can't. I've tried. I can't. Josh?
Same.
Yeah. I know you actually have some of them.
Yeah, I like Age of Apocalypse all right.
I couldn't even get into that.
House of M's okay.
I did read House of M, but only the main book. I didn't read all the tangential bullshit that went with it for that whole 6-month crossover event. Oh my god, crossover events. I hate you comic books so much.
So we're talking about the first set with Patrick Stewart and then the second set that...
With the guy from Wanted?
Yes.
James McAvoy?
Yeah,
Yes.
James McAvoy.
Yeah.
Who I love, by the way. I love James McAvoy.
Okay.
But not as Professor X.
I mean, he's a fine Professor X.
He was good in the X-Men First Class
It
movie.
says you have to look at the list. He was good in that one, the Cuban Missile Sandwich thing. X-Men, the Cuban Missile Sandwich.
The one with David Bowie.
I think I missed that one.
You wouldn't see it. It's real select.
But no, like, he was fine. And I think that the operative term there is fine as Professor X. If he had been the only one to play Professor X in that series of movies, we probably would think he'd be a great, fantastic Professor X. But how do you follow Patrick Stewart in that role? How?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Patrick Stewart is amazing as
Yes.
Professor X.
I loved him as that lobster in a bathtub.
I loved him there, too.
He's really good in anything he does, honestly. Like, I can't get into the first few seasons of Next Generation, but
That's not his fault.
No, but his Picard is phenomenal.
Yes.
I mean, the Green Room is a really hard movie to get through, but his like Nazi leader in that movie is phenomenal.
Dune? When he had the weird rat tail?
I need to go and watch Dune, but I'm sure he's at least phenomenal.
I fell
Yes.
asleep through Dune. I might have woken up at that part and then went back to sleep.
Because I also know that he was in that space vampire.
I was about to bring that one
movie,
up, too.
Not Lifeline.
Dark, or...
I know we've referenced it before, and now I can't even remember the name. It's because I want the name.
Life
Force. Life Force.
Yeah.
There we go. Woo! Yeah, I pulled it together. Yeah, I know he's in that. I can't remember that movie to save the life of me, but I'm sure he's phenomenal in it too. He's always phenomenal. Yeah, see?
He was the best part.
Well,
Just
aside
like
from the
Ian
naked
McKellen.
lady
Ian
one the whole
McKellen.
time.
Ian McClellan is very good.
Was he
Yes.
also in Life Force?
No,
but he was in
But he's
X-Men.
Magneto.
That's how you say it.
Ian McClellan or Magneto?
No,
Oh, okay.
Magenta.
Magenta. His suit's kind of magenta too. Is that
It
a
is.
coincidence? That's a weird conspiracy. Come on, Marvel.
I loved Magneto in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, me
That's how
too.
you-
I don't know why
That
they
wasn't
got rid
played
of...
by Ian McClellan.
No,
Could've
but
been.
if they cast him as Magenta, I'm sure he'd rock it out.
He
of the park.
probably
Yeah,
would
yeah.
because he and Patrick Stewart doing anything would be amazing.
So you get Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen as Columbia
Yeah.
and Magenta, and he just
They would do it,
They
too.
would do it. I'm
They
sure
would, yeah.
they'd have a great time. I don't know who you cast as Frankenfurter. I don't know that I care.
See if
It's a throwaway part at that point because you already got those. Just give it to McAvoy.
right, there you go. Oh, he actually might be pretty good as it.
I was going to say
too.
Ryan Reynolds.
I
but
think he
not-
could really
Oh,
carry
no.
off the Lacey bits.
If you're gonna bring in Ryan Reynolds, riffraff.
Oh, I can see him doing it. He'd be a good riff
yeah,
raff.
see, yeah. So, what were we talking about?
X-Men,
X-Men.
not Rocky Horror.
At least we stuck with all the actors this time, okay? We were kind of on topic there.
Does that mean that we can talk about
The
Deadpool?
Yes,
Okay.
they're here.
He's
He's
a
part of the
X-Men.
X-Men. Yeah. I mean, I think at this point people kind of consider his Deadpool movies to be separate entities from the main Marvel continuity, like the Fox continuity.
No,
like
'cause he brought into the mansion and
he
stuff.
did, but except at the same time because the Colossus is different.
It's better.
It is better. He's a better Colossus. Even though I don't hate the American actor they had playing him in the other 3 movies. But his Colossus is completely different. So different it's hard to explain it away based on just a reboot of the continuity. Like just a time reboot, which we will get to in a second. So there's the original trilogy of movies, which is really 2 good movies and a shitty one.
Correct.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because X-Men 1 and X-Men 2 are small movies. They were obviously made on a small budget.
Yeah.
But the actors they got for it are fantastic. And even though it's basically Magneto, now I'm doing it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Magneto being the villain of both those movies. Because, I mean, Brian Cox's villain, Stryker, in the second one, who just kind of keeps popping up in all the movies afterwards, he's fine. But it's really Magneto's show.
Yes.
He steals the show away from Stryker and tries to be evil at that point. It's Magneto's the villain. Magneto's the villain of basically all three of those stupid movies. And at a certain point, he needs to stop being the villain. And that point was the third movie, because the third movie is so boring.
And tiresome.
Yeah.
Because at
Making
that point, I
sense.
don't care that Jean Grey is doing anything.
No.
And she's a great actress. The actress who played her was amazing.
She was the best
But-
part of that Hemlock Grove, which was
Yes.
an otherwise
Oh, yeah, I forgot she
really
was in
terrible
that.
show.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. So, well, that and the really gory werewolf transformation sequence they filmed.
Yes, that's true, too.
Oh, that was eye-popping right there. I loved that one. But yeah, no, otherwise, that's,
Boring.
boring. The third movie is boring.
Like, when you have major characters die, you should feel something instead of just like, well, glad Cyclops is finally
I
going
know.
to show up.
Well, but that's also a problem with Cyclops in general. He was only really interesting playing off of Hugh Jackman,
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman, and his Wolverine. But otherwise, like, his Scott Summers was so boring.
I mean, Scott Summers is boring.
But
anyway.
he's supposed to be the
And
leader
he's such
of
a
the
good
X-Men.
actor. That's
Yeah.
Why do they keep putting him in such bad roles? Because I think he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also really terrible in Superman Returns immediately afterwards.
Yeah, he was. Sorry.
But that
You
wasn't
were
his
awful.
fault. Everything was bad in that movie.
Except for Brandon Ruth.
Yeah.
Brandon Ruth
Brandon
was
Ruth
phenomenal.
was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
As we were saying, though, I was going to say Scott Thompson. Scott Summers.
Summers.
He's like, you don't care that he dies because he's been boring for 3 movies up to that point.
And then
Two
having
and a half.
Halle Berry try to lead the movie.
But, well, I think that was, I hear that was due to scheduling conflicts. Like,
Yeah.
her role was basically rewritten off of Scott Summers' role when the actor left to go do Superman Returns instead. And they didn't want to do a full rewrite on the script, so they just, like, find and replace Scott Summers with
I will
Storm.
say Halle Berry was a much better Storm than she was Catwoman.
Oh, yeah. I think she'd agree with
That's
that, too.
damning with kindness.
I like Halle Berry. I do.
Oh, I do, too.
I hate Catwoman, though.
I mean, Storm, she was awesome as Storm in 1 and 2, but 3 just... If that makes sense if she was taking all of Cyclops' lines.
Yeah, I heard it was about scheduling conflicts, and one reason or another they had to make Storm a larger character due to that. So,
Because
But she was pretty big in the first film. Why would they reduce her presence in the second and third?
I just don't think they didn't have all that much to do with her otherwise.
That's unfortunate because when they redid the movies, I guess, rebooted them, I
Yeah.
suppose. And I kind of have to think of it as a different universe altogether. I don't like the actress who plays the...
But she also barely has
Storm.
anything to do in the 2 movies she's in.
So, continuity.
Yeah. Her Storm has more to do in the first 3 than it does in the other 2 that she shows up later. She's basically an afterthought in the 4th of the new movies, Dark Phoenix. But I mean, you don't think about how bad the 3rd X-Men movie is, because immediately after the 3rd X-Men movie came out, you had X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
Which is wretched.
Oh my god, it's so bad. When I did reviews for the...
I watch him in anything he's in.
I know. Hugh Jackman is great.
Yeah.
And he was the best part of that movie.
It wasn't his fault.
No.
Just bad directing, bad writing, bad cinematography, bad acting. That
Rush
wasn't
production.
Yeah.
And all around just a terrible product.
Because that one was because I always confuse the Wolverine Origins with Wolverine
2 in Japan.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Lost
where
in
they
Japan?
show the first time they show Quicksilver?
No,
Not in Origins?
not in Origins.
When do they bring out Quicksilver?
In First Class. Not First Class. Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past. Yeah.
Yeah, he's only in 3 of the movies.
And he's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The actor is amazing, and that part was written
For him.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when Marvel tried to do Quicksilver, just fell flat.
No, they really
They effed that
ruined
one up.
it.
They should have just not brought him in. Only brought in Scarlet Witch, and then be like, we're gonna just buy Fox, and then we can buy their version of the character.
Yes.
Yes.
That would have been so much better.
It would have been fantastic. But no, it's Origins Wolverine has a distinction, I think, of being the worst or not just worst Wolverine, worst movie in the entire run. And there are some real stinkers in this run. But that movie is so boring and stupid and not necessary. And when I was reviewing all the movies, I decided to do them in chronological order of original timeline and the new timeline. And that meant starting my entire run with X-Men Origins Wolverine. And wow, I regretted that.
I mean, it's just like watching someone who's really bad at playing Street Fighter play Street Fighter, and you're forced to watch it.
Okay, can we say how terrible Anne Paquin was?
Anna Paquin in the 3 movies
in
that
the
she
3
was
movies,
basically
she's
in?
just terrible. I mean, she's okay
In the first one.
in some
Yeah,
movies.
she was okay in the
but
first one. She was decent in the second one. They didn't give her a lot to do, and
for being the
heart,
of the movie, she's
really not
barely beating. Yeah.
No,
Runaway teen syndrome.
I mean, I've seen her in other stuff. True Blood, she was
good in
okay.
Yeah, she was
She
alright.
was
She was okay.
You just liked it 'cause she took her shirt off, though.
I was gonna say she was game to take off her clothing, so it gave me a couple points on that. But otherwise, she was only okay.
Yeah, but her body's only okay, too. So
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
like
Oh, body shaming.
But it came from the lady at the table, so I'm gonna let it go.
I think when I saw her, I went, it's okay.
Just messing.
Back to
I'm
X-Men.
sorry, I brought up boobs and
That's because we talked about Anna Paquin.
Paquin.
Yeah.
And we have to say it really fast.
Manny Pacquiao.
What?
What?
The underused Iceman, they underused the flame guy. What's his
Pyro.
name? Pyro.
Pyro.
There were a lot of interesting characters that didn't do enough with. There was clearly not nearly enough Jubilation Lee
In any of them.
in any of them.
And I really liked Rebecca Romaine's Mystique over Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're actually a huge Jennifer Lawrence fan.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm a
and
fan of hers as well. I just didn't like her as Mystique.
Yeah, she's too.
he's her secret boo, and I just outed it.
Oh, okay.
She's
Okay.
she's a good actress, but Mystique's more of a.
It's outside her range.
Yeah, she's more of a nuanced. Mystique's more of a nuanced badass, and
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence is more of a sarcastic, jaded badass.
Yeah, it didn't
It
suit her
doesn't-
style.
No,
that-
she wasn't cunning enough to be Mystique.
What was the movie she was in where she was a poor West Virginia chick? It wasn't Cold Creek Mountain. It was something else, but
Joy.
that was another one, I think. She's done it a few times. She's good in those roles.
Yeah.
She was not good as Mystique.
Yeah,
I think
so
I'll
like
just put that
Silver
out there.
Linings Playbook. I thought she did a good job.
I didn't see that one.
That's because you don't like Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, I do not care about the poor man's Matthew McConaughey.
You'd rather go for the all right.
Well,
up
yeah,
front,
I mean,
huh?
if I'm
Okay.
gonna get Woodhauer, I want Woodhauer or whatever his name was from Dazed and Confused. Like you need the real thing or nothing at all. Okay, don't give me a half-assed performance.
Again, Matthew McConaughey is not a believable doctor
no,
in any form.
no. He's proven he's really good as a creepy near pedophile.
Yes.
because that was what he was
Yes.
in Dazed and Confused. He's proven he's really good as a lech.
Yes.
Because that's what he's in most of his early movies. And he's proven he's really good as a guy who, in his free time, hunts serial killers and has really deep conversations that no one can understand. Because that's what he did in True Detective. He was kind of
amazing in that.
he was pretty decent in Lincoln Lawyer, but that was mostly because they rewrote the part, I think, to be more Matthew
I
McConaughey.
just don't know why.
And
They,
Marissa Tomei was really good in that.
Yes.
oh yeah, she's always good though.
Yeah. So, like, there are good parts for Matthew McConaughey, and thankfully, for the most part, he doesn't try and do anything outside his range.
And we're not saying in any way, shape, or form that Matthew McConaughey is a superhero in an X-Men movie.
No, we've just decided to wander and talk about Matthew
But you
McConaughey.
don't know though. Maybe he's what
We were talking about
Mystique really
J
looks
Law. We went on to Bradley Cooper, and Bradley Cooper doesn't register in my mind, but Matthew McConaughey does.
We should rename the show to Six Degrees from whatever we're talking about.
Has Matthew McConaughey been in anything with Tom Cruise?
like. I don't know. No, there was I don't know.
What?
I
can't
don't think
remember.
so.
I don't think so.
No.
So no Tom Cruise in the set podcast.
And he
I'm
hasn't
sorry.
been in anything with Jennifer Lawrence yet either.
No,
No?
because it's Bradley Cooper stole the role that was obviously meant for Matthew McConaughey. Yeah.
But maybe Tom Cruise drives a Lincoln.
Oh, there you go.
No, he doesn't. He drives a
No.
motorcycle.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And then throws himself off of cliffs just for the hell of it.
No, I'm stupid. They were
I
in a
feel
movie
him on
together
so many levels.
But back to what we were talking about, which was the X-Men movies.
Yes.
with Matthew McConaughey.
With Matthew, yeah.
Without Matthew McConaughey.
He stands like against the side of the school, watching all the students go past. You know what I love about mutant students? I get older, they stay the same age.
Wow, you've made him creepy in a movie he's not even in. That's impressive. Good job, Matthew.
So, but I like the first two of the original trilogy, and I go and I watch the new movies, and there's parts of the new movies, like the 4 and the reboot continuity, that I like, but I don't feel like they're anywhere near as good as the first two. Days of Future Past is probably the best of the run. It's like, if you look at them as
That's
like...
because Picard is back in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. But if you look at it from, speaking of Star Trek, if you look at it from like the 4 Star Trek movies from the Next Generation, the first one's kind of okay. The second one, First Contact, is great as far as the other ones around it are concerned. And then the third and the fourth are ass. And it felt like that was the same situation for the quartet of recent X-Men movies we got. The first one is good at setting up its characters, but its plot's only kind of shaky, and it falls apart in the end. And then the second one, Days of Future Past, is good for what, like, of the 4 around it. But it's still not a fantastic movie. It's just, the one previous was kind of okay, and there were 2 really shitty movies that we don't want to talk about afterwards. But, like, that movie is good by comparison. And yes, it has Patrick Stewart in it, and Ian McKellen, and other characters we actually like. So it's like, even though they're not the focus of the movie, we like it so much more. Plus, they managed to work Hugh Jackman into the continuity.
Into every single one of them, which kudos to Fox for being able to do that. And kudos to Hugh Jackman, who I really fear that there is no one who can play Wolverine as good as him.
Well, you need someone, like, if you're going to do it, you need to make him much closer to the original continuity. So he's got to be shorter, he's got to be gruffer, he's got to be ruder. I think you need Danny DeVito.
Oh, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah.
I was like, you're describing Danny DeVito.
Nice 4 foot tall Wolverine.
And you know he says bub a lot.
No.
Fastball special.
No.
Have Colossus just lift him up like a butterball turkey and throw him.
If you don't want him, what about the Imp?
Oh, Tyrion?
Well, he's already been in an X-Men movie.
But if we're gonna recast the whole thing, I would make him into Wolverine.
He could probably pull it off. Honestly, he probably could, because he's a really good actor.
He's my default for anything we talk about where we're like, who are we going to cast in this role? And I would just be like, that guy.
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage is amazing.
But you are right. It's going to be hard for them to find a better Wolverine. I mean, basically, of all the people that they have that they're going to want to try and keep or find someone just as good as, they've lucked out that they get to keep Ryan Reynolds for his Deadpool movies. Because his Deadpool movies are good.
Yes.
Really good.
I've liked both of them so far.
And Hugh Jackman, after he got out of the way of that awful first Wolverine movie, his second and third ones were fantastic.
I really do like Logan. Logan's very good.
And for a dumb comic booky movie that has a really stupid ending to it, Wolverine 2, like the Wolverine, Wolverine Lost in Translation, is actually pretty good. So, like, yeah.
Wait, isn't Patrick Stewart in all those?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, Jean Grey shows up as a demon hunting Wolverine's dreams in the second Wolverine movie.
Okay.
Tokyo Drift. But
which wasn't bad.
Because that's every second movie.
That's every third.
Every third
he's
movie.
in Japan, so obviously it's Tokyo Drift. That's just how that works. Yeah.
I almost forgot about that one.
Tokyo Drift or Wolverine?
Tokyo Drift.
It's okay. It's easy to forget about Tokyo Drift. Yeah. It's just fun to make fun of the name. Yeah.
I was almost forgetting about the Wolverine movie, too.
There was Wolverine 2 Electric Boogaloo, Wolverine 3 Tokyo Drift.
Nice.
I don't know where they would have gone with the series after that. Thankfully, he left after the third of the new movies where he shows up for that cameo in Apocalypse, which is a movie so bad I tend to forget it exists.
Yes.
So bad.
Like, they ruined Apocalypse. They ruined his backstory. They ruined everything he could do. They ruined the chance to do Age of Apocalypse because of the way they handled that movie. They ruined Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest issue I have with comic book movies.
Yeah.
You have source material.
Yeah.
It's not like you can't just read it.
It's almost as bad. Actually, it's probably as bad as Tom Cruise's Mummy.
Yes.
I like Tom Cruise's Mummy.
I don't. It's awful.
I mean, I like it, but I like it because it's a shitty movie.
The cinematography was so good, though.
Brendan Fraser's is so much better.
Yes.
Oh,
the first two. Not the
first
third
two. No, the third one sucks.
Third one's awful. And the second one's kind of shaky at the end, but it's still a fun movie.
Yes.
Was that the one where
they could have removed the kid? It would have been fun.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Terrible CGI, The Rock Johnson.
Yeah. But that's what gave us The Rock, though. And we can watch such great films like...
Why haven't they brought him into an X-Men movie?
Because he's actually signed up to do a DC movie.
He's supposed to be
Adam. Yeah, Black Adam, the villain of Shazam. Yeah.
Nice, okay. Yeah.
He looks exactly like him.
Yeah. And he doesn't even have to, like, put on a fake muscle suit. He is the fake muscle suit.
He really is the fake muscle suit, yeah.
He would be good as, like, Havoc or someone, too, I think, in X-Men.
I mean, he could be Juggernaut, and he'd be believable without any CGI. He just is.
He is a Juggernaut.
He is a Juggernaut.
He is.
Yeah.
Actually, he's a little thinner than Juggernaut would have to be.
He's too nice, though. He's not a believable villain to me.
I think he could do it. I don't think anyone's ever actually asked him to be a villain, though.
I mean,
he always plays the good guy, and I think it's probably part of his contract is that he's always... No, he was a villain.
Wrestler as...
He was a villain in Doom.
Oh, I forgot.
And he was not believable in it. So, don't cast him as a villain.
Don't cast him as a villain.
Okay, there you go, then.
When he was a wrestler, he was the villain at first, too.
Yeah, but that's wrestling. Who cares?
I don't. Josette told me that.
I really don't.
My wife lady told me that, and I was like,
she cares about wrestling?
Wrestling is the same reason I can't watch reality TV ever.
Because it's all fake.
It's all fake, and I don't care.
Yeah, see? Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Why do you need writers on a reality TV show?
Why do you need to vote somebody off the island? Just kill them all.
Have you tried to get any of the Kardashians to say anything believable from their mouths? There you go, then.
Entitled. Never mind. We won't go down that. Okay. Back to X-Men. Is there anything else we got to share?
Well,
with regards to X-Men?
The newest one, I think, is only interesting because it somehow makes Apocalypse seem like an interesting movie. Because Dark Phoenix is really terrible.
The lowest opening for
awful. Yeah.
X-Men movie, too.
It starts off good. That a whole space shuttle astronaut sequence, really interesting. You get 5 minutes of that, and then they enter Quicksilver, who's the best part of these movies.
Yep.
All 3 of his big sequences are fantastic in those movies, and then you sideline him and leave him out of the entire rest of the movie and focus on characters no one cares about.
Yep.
Because no one gives a shit about Jean Grey in these new movies.
I would highly suggest if anybody from Fox, former Fox, now Disney, Marvel, next Deadpool movie, put Quicksilver in because they would be amazing.
Yeah, no, you just have him be Evan Peters. Don't even try and explain how it is that he's back. You just make him Quicksilver in a Deadpool movie. Do Deadpool and Quicksilver, and just let's have adventures with the two of them. And then you can spin Quicksilver off of those without any explanation and continue to have fun adventures with him.
And you could still even throw Tom Holland in as Spider-Man. That would also be amazing.
And then you just you have Deadpool and Quicksilver, and then for one cameo you have the chick that plays Scarlet Witch, and the two of them go running past, and she goes, "Wait, what?"
Exactly.
No, never mind. That's it. And then you don't ever do any mention of it at all ever again.
I'm kind of hoping that I read this online.
Why are you not directing Marvel films? That's
fucking no.
I could do way better.
Oh my god, I don't know. You and I need to finish writing those scripts that we have in mind, like that slasher flick that I want to do, so that we can get a manager and put our scripts out there and see if anyone wants to buy them, so we can get into Hollywood. Because I think we have some good ideas here, dude.
I do too.
Yeah. So you were gonna say something?
Oh yeah. But now that Stan Lee's dead, I could have probably said that a little bit nicer.
Now that fucker's finally gone.
Unpopular opinion.
Since Stan Lee's passing.
Yeah, there you go. That's nicer.
Since Stan Lee's passing to the great beyond.
That you swear you had nothing to do with.
He was old as fuck. But put Deadpool as all the cameos in the movies instead of...
Oh my god, that'd be great.
Stanley,
that'd be great.
I've heard that before too, so
that'd be
I
great.
agree.
I would watch all of those.
Because his cameos always felt super forced.
They did, and it doesn't feel forced when you have Deadpool do it, because he could even just turn to the camera and touch his mouth and do this little bashful look, and he'd be like, Deadpool.
Exactly.
Okay, now I think we're talked out on this topic, unless anyone else has anything. I mean, we've already talked before in the past about how they even try and work the X-Men into the Marvel continuity.
Like I said, I think in a couple other podcasts, I have a lot of issues with the X-Men even existing. Just because you have mutants, which are treated as less than, but then you have superheroes who are essentially mutants, but
by a different mother.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense to me at all.
Well, I think the only way that you can work mutants into the continuity at this point and have it not seem forced is by having the snap cause them.
Yeah.
Just Thanos' snap reverberates across the timeline and causes, in the past, mutants to spring up when they weren't originally in the continuity. And then, because they want to do some prequel movies that bounce around in the 90s and the aughts, you have superheroes exploring this, but suddenly there's mutants everywhere, which changes some of the weird backstories of things.
This has now been copyrighted, just FYI.
I think that's the only way you can do it where it actually works. Because otherwise, you're like, oh no, mutants have existed this entire time, you just haven't seen them, and you're sitting there going, wait, what?
And they've never mentioned mutants anywhere either.
No, they've never once. Well, they couldn't. They weren't allowed to.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in those movies, which are mutants in any other continuity, but because they were in the Avengers, they were allowed to use them for the Marvel movies. They are strictly science experiments, not mutants.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good.
Cool. This has been Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein.
Josh Schaefer. I thought you were going to say my name for me for a second.
Well, I did the last time, but I wasn't doing it this time. Okay, I can do this again if you want.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
And Queen Bee.
And we will see you next time.
Bye.
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 When one of us has superpowers.
Bye.